It was 6:30 on a quiet Sunday morning when the phone buzzed on Martha's bedside table. The kind of buzz that doesn't sound urgent but somehow feels heavy, like it's carrying bad news. She opened her eyes slowly, half asleep, sunlight filtering through the curtains, and reached for the phone. Her eyes went straight to the bank notification. $2, 800 withdrawn, online transfer. First, she thought it was a mistake. Maybe an automatic bill. Maybe something she'd forgotten. But then another notification blinked. $1, 200 withdrawn, online transfer. Her heart dropped. She sat up, put on her glasses, and scrolled. Transaction after transaction. Each one bleeding her savings dry. Money she'd spent 10 years collecting after her husband passed away. Her fingers froze above the screen as she read the sender's name. Recipient, Aaron Mitchell. Aaron, her only son. The air in her chest thickened. For a few seconds, she didn't breathe, just stared. The phone slipped slightly in her hand. She whispered under her breath, "No, he wouldn't." But deep down, she knew. She walked to the kitchen, barefoot, the wooden floor cold beneath her feet. Her heart pounded like a slow drum. She poured herself a cup of coffee she didn't even want and stood by the window, staring at the empty driveway. Aaron hadn't been home for weeks. He was supposed to be in California working, or at least that's what he told her. The morning sun climbed higher, warm light spilling across the counter, but Martha felt nothing, just a hollow ache. She picked up her phone again, dialed his number, and waited. It rang, once, twice, then voicemail. She didn't leave a message. She just sat there, the phone pressed against her chest. After a long silence, she muttered, if he needed help, he could have just asked. She knew Aaron had struggled for years. Jobs that didn't last, relationships that fell apart, debts that followed him everywhere. But she never imagined he'd take everything. It wasn't about the money. It was about trust. She walked over to the small desk near the hallway, the same one where her husband, David, used to keep their tax folders and receipts. The drawer creaked open, and there it was, an old photograph. Aaron, just 8 years old, sitting on David's shoulders, both of them laughing at the county fair. Back then, Aaron used to call her Super Mom. He'd draw little stick figures of them together, her with a cape, him holding a balloon. Now, she could barely remember the last time he'd called just to say hi. Martha sat down on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. She thought about reporting it, calling the bank, freezing the account. But then, she didn't. Instead, she whispered something to herself, almost like she was trying to convince her own heart. He must have had a reason. Maybe he was in trouble. Maybe someone forced him. Maybe he didn't know what else to do. Or maybe, and this thought hurt the most, maybe he just didn't care anymore. The phone buzzed again. A message. It was from Aaron. Mom, I'll explain everything. Please don't call the cops. I'll fix this. Just trust me. Her fingers trembled as she typed back, then stopped midway. What do you even say to that? She deleted the half-written words and set the phone down. Outside, the street was coming to life. Neighbors watering their lawns, kids riding their bikes. But inside that small house in the suburbs of Denver, time had stopped. Martha didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just sat there quietly, as if waiting for something that might never come. And that's when a strange kind of calm washed over her. Calm that didn't make sense. Because sometimes, when you've been hurt too many times, the pain stops feeling sharp. It just becomes quiet. She picked up her coffee again and whispered, I'm not calling anyone. Because in her heart, she already knew this wasn't just about stolen money. This was about something much deeper, something she hadn't faced in years, a mother's love, and how far it could bend before it finally broke. Now tell me, what would you do if your own child did something like this? Would you fight back? Or would you still protect them? If you were in Martha's place, what choice would you make? Subscribe, like, and share, because what happens next will make you question what love really means. It had been 3 days since the money vanished, and 3 days since Martha had heard her son's voice. Her phone sat quietly on the table beside her unfinished crossword puzzle. The house was still. The ticking of the kitchen clock was the only thing that moved. The world outside went on as usual. Delivery vans passing, someone's dog barking, the neighbor's wind chimes playing in the breeze. But for Martha, everything had stopped the moment her account hit zero. She tried reading. She tried cleaning. She even tried baking her late husband's favorite cornbread. But her mind wandered back to one thing. Why? By the fourth day, she got her answer. A photo popped up on her social feed, posted by Aaron's wife, Chloe. They were smiling on a beach in Bali. Caption: New beginnings, palm tree, red heart. Sometimes you have to leave the past to find peace. Martha stared at the image for a long time. Aaron's arm was around Chloe. His sunglasses reflected the turquoise water. He looked free, unbothered. And the woman beside him, the same one who once hugged Martha politely and called her mom, had tagged #FamilyGoals. Her coffee went cold in her hand. She wanted to believe this was some mistake. That maybe they'd used a credit card, maybe the money was still safe somewhere. But deep down, she knew. He had taken it all. Every cent she'd saved, from her cleaning jobs, from her pension checks, from the rainy day jar she kept hidden behind old cookie tins. And yet, she didn't cry. Not this time. She stood up, went to her bedroom, and opened the small drawer where she kept an old shoebox of letters. Inside were cards from Aaron, his drawings from grade school, his college acceptance letter, even a photo from his wedding day. She held the wedding photo between her fingers. It was taken in the backyard. She had made the floral arch herself, with borrowed decorations and a few roses from the garden. Aaron had promised her that day, "Mom, I'll make you proud. I'll pay you back for everything you've ever done." Martha smiled faintly. "You already did," she had told him. Now, that same boy had robbed her of her peace. But that night, something inside her shifted. For the first time in her life, Martha didn't feel like a mother. She felt like a woman who had been betrayed. And that realization burned quietly like a small, steady flame. The next morning, she got dressed. Not in her usual house clothes, but in jeans, a jacket, and her late husband's old wristwatch. She locked her house, walked to the nearest bus stop, and headed downtown. Her destination, the Federal Credit Bank of Denver. At the counter, the young teller smiled politely. "How can I help you, ma'am?" Martha slid her ID across the desk. "I'd like to report unauthorized transfers from my account." The teller's expression shifted as he pulled up her file. "Oh, those transactions were verified, Mrs. Mitchell. All were approved from your registered device." Martha frowned. "My device hasn't left my house." The man hesitated. "Do you have anyone who might have access to your online banking?" Martha looked him in the eye. "My son." There was a long pause. Then the teller lowered his voice. "Ma'am, we can freeze the account and start a fraud claim, but it'll take time." She nodded. "Freeze everything. Don't let a single dollar move." When she walked out of the bank, the sky was gray. The wind had picked up, tossing dry leaves across the pavement. She tightened her jacket and stood at the crosswalk, the city noise swirling around her. It wasn't anger that filled her. It was focus. For 68 years, she had been patient, forgiving, kind, but patience has a limit, and Martha had finally reached hers. That evening, she called her old friend, Calvin, a retired detective who used to live next door. He picked up on the second ring. "Martha? Been years. You okay?" She hesitated, her voice calm but sharp. "Do you still know how to trace digital transfers?" He paused. "Depends. Why do you ask?" She took a deep breath. "Because someone stole from me, and I don't want the police, not yet. I just want to know where he is." The silence on the line was heavy. Then Calvin sighed. "All right, bring me what you have." That night, she arrived at his small apartment, carrying a folder of papers, screenshots, and a printed photo of Aaron and Chloe smiling in Bali. Calvin studied it quietly. "That your boy?" Martha nodded. "Was my boy." Calvin looked at her. The exhaustion in her eyes, the calm beneath it. "This isn't about the money, is it?" She smiled faintly. "No, this is about remembering who he forgot I am." Over the next few days, they worked quietly. Calvin traced IPs, checked transfer patterns, and discovered that Aaron had used Martha's identity to open a joint account under a false signature. Forged, almost perfectly. "Looks like your daughter-in-law's fingerprints are all over this," Calvin muttered. "She's clever." Martha leaned over the table, staring at the data. "Then let's be cleverer." And from that moment, the revenge began. Not loud, not violent, but quiet and patient. The kind that creeps up like fog. Meanwhile, halfway across the world, Aaron's paradise was starting to crack. Chloe was different, distant, cold. She spent more time on her phone, whispering to someone when she thought Aaron was asleep. One evening, he overheard her voice on the balcony. "Don't worry, he has no clue. The money's all in my name now. I'll be in Spain by next week." Aaron froze. He stepped back quietly, his stomach twisting. The next morning, Chloe was gone. So was the cash card. And when Aaron checked his phone, there was a new message. From the bank. "Your account has been frozen pending investigation." He called Chloe, no answer. He called the bank, blocked. He called his mother, voicemail. That's when panic finally hit. He sat on the edge of the hotel bed, staring at the blank wall, hearing only the echo of his mother's voice from childhood. "Remember, Aaron, every lie has a price." Now he was paying it. Back in Denver, Martha sat by the window again, sipping her tea. She wasn't smiling, but there was peace in her eyes. She picked up her notebook and wrote, "Asterisk, he took my money, but I took back my power." Asterisk, because sometimes revenge doesn't mean destruction. Sometimes it simply means making them face themselves. The evening sun melted behind the pines, painting the room in shades of amber and regret. Daniel sat at the edge of his bed, the same bed where he'd once read bedtime stories to his son. Pirates, dragons, dreams of courage. Now all those memories felt like a cruel echo of what he'd lost. His phone screen still showed the bank notification, every cent gone. Yet strangely, he didn't feel anger anymore. Just an emptiness that settled deep inside his bones. Miles away, Ethan sat in a diner, a half-eaten burger in front of him. He scrolled through messages he couldn't bring himself to answer. His dad's last text blinking at the top. "Where are you, son?" He typed out so many replies, deleted each one. He didn't know what to say. How do you explain to the person who gave you everything that you broke them? That night, the rain started again, soft, almost apologetic. Daniel drove through the downpour, headlights slicing through the fog, the road leading nowhere and everywhere at once. He remembered the little boy who used to fall asleep in the back seat, clutching a toy car. He remembered promises, "I'll always have your back, Dad." The kind a child makes when love is still pure and untouched by the world. He stopped the car at a bridge outside town, the river beneath roaring like an unspoken truth. He stepped out, closed his eyes, and just listened, to the water, to the rain, to the memories that wouldn't die. He whispered to himself, "Maybe I failed him." Back at the diner, Ethan's hands trembled as he picked up his phone. His thumb hovered over his father's number, then pressed call. It rang once, twice, then silence. No answer. Panic rippled through his chest. He ran out into the rain, heart pounding, as if some invisible thread between them had snapped too far. Daniel's phone buzzed on the bridge railing, a faint light glowing through the mist. He turned, surprised, and picked it up. "Dad!" Ethan's voice cracked through the static. For a moment, Daniel couldn't breathe. "Ethan, where are you?" I messed up, Dad. I don't know why I did it. I thought you'd stop loving me if I failed again." His words came like broken glass. Daniel closed his eyes. "Son, you don't lose love by making mistakes. You lose it by running from them." His voice was soft, trembling. "Come home." The next morning, the sun rose slow and hesitant, like the world was still deciding whether to forgive. Daniel stood at the window, sipping coffee, the air thick with silence. Then came a knock at the door. He froze for a second, then opened it. Ethan stood there, drenched, shaking, eyes red but alive. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Daniel stepped forward and pulled him into an embrace. The kind that doesn't erase pain but promises to rebuild over it. Ethan sobbed into his father's shoulder. "I'll make it right, I swear." Daniel smiled faintly, brushing the rain from his hair. "You already started, son. You came back." In the days that followed, they sat together more. They talked, not about money or mistakes, but about dreams, fears, and the tiny moments that had slipped through the cracks. Daniel didn't press charges. He didn't demand repayment. He only asked one thing, honesty. And slowly, Ethan began to rebuild what he'd broken. Not the account, but the trust. Weeks later, Daniel looked at an old photo on his desk. A much younger him holding Ethan in his arms, both laughing. He whispered to himself, "You didn't lose him. You just had to find him again." Some scars don't fade. They just become part of the story. And if you're watching this right now, ask yourself, what would you do if the person you loved most hurt you the deepest? Would you walk away? Or wait at the door, hoping they'd come home? Because sometimes forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the only way to save what's left of love. If this story touched you, take a moment. Share it, leave a thought, or simply tell someone you love them today. You never know who's waiting to hear it.